based on the stock frequency of this Core i7, stock frequency is 4 gigahertz, a boost to 4.2, and so we've already gained 700 megahertz. So how much further? Okay, 4.8 gigahertz, not bad, not bad. I think we can go a little bit further still. Let's have a look. 4.9, sure, why not? Hello, 4.9 gigahertz. Now, the holy grail within the enthusiast scene for some time has actually been 5 gigahertz. So let's just have a little look at 5 gigahertz, shall we? And there we go, 5 gigahertz using the Corsair Hydro all-in-one water cooling gear. So that's quite impressive from a quad-core 8-thread CPU. To have that sort of 1 gigahertz headroom running is great, and the tweakability of this platform ensures that you can play around with lower base clocks, so you can go and set the base clock right down to, say, 70 hertz is the lowest of the range, and then run higher multipliers and therefore gain more in a single step of the multi, or you can actually go right up very, very high frequencies. Now, base clock typically you would have to be on the previous generation using different dividers and straps to try to jump over base clock holes. We can very, very easily run a couple of hundred above stock base clocks. So I was demoing to media last week, a very easy 225 megahertz. Played around some more. We've done 300 megahertz here in AU, and certainly guys back at HQ are doing an easy 350 megahertz base clock on air, and with a little bit of voltage love, 400 megahertz. So it's certainly to be expected that under liquid nitrogen we're going to see some huge base clock frequencies. And while that particular number won't have as much substance given the fact that the base clock is untied from the rest of the CPU architecture, it's still a fun figure to be able to play with, and it adds a lot of flexibility to finding the ultimate combination of RAM frequency, RAM timings, and CPU frequency, and pulling it all together to have a truly efficient platform. So I'm actually going to now go across over to Stuart Tonk's build. Stewie, if I could ask you to join me. No worries, buddy. So Stuart's flown down from Perth. Stuart's from Good Gaming Fun in, sorry, not from Perth, that's Jack, sorry, Brisbane for Good Gaming Fun. And yeah, Stuart, can you tell me a little bit about this system before we start going any further with turning it on and whatnot?
Alright, so pretty much it's focused around the Z170 So you probably noticed that this board is very similar looking to the Deluxe. You can see it's still at the white, so I kind of like this idea that you're going to get a sort of board that's not aimed at the high market, but it still looks like, and it has the features for you than a high market board. So
a premium board without premium price.
Exactly, and it kind of looks and has the features. Apart from that, we got some ASUS, what are they running? GTX 980s in there. They're water cooled. We've kind of got it off so you can't sort of see inside yet, because then when I turn it on you can see inside.
There's a little bit of theatre.
Yeah, exactly. CPU we were running is the 6600K. What did we get that up to before you got it up to?
Yeah, so we were having a little bit of a play around last night. We were up till about 3 a.m. Mucking around with this CPU. So the 6600K is a stock 3.5 gigahertz part, and we did a 6-hour Prime 95 test last night at 4.5 gigahertz, no problem. So you get an extra gigahertz for free.
And this is running super cool. You'll see the water cooling. I'm not sure if you've heard of Bits Power. That's the water cooling we've gone with for that one. If you're wanting one of these gorgeous cases, this is from Ingwin. They've started to release a heap of systems sort of looking like this. They use their tempered glass and the aluminium on the front, or the sort of a whole shape.
That's billet aluminium that's being milled out from a single block, right?
Back, you look at the back, and it's that whole one piece.
And it's got some pretty interesting RAM in there, doesn't it?
Yeah, anyone heard of Avexia? Avexia memory, they're starting to support the modding community. It's got all the fancy LEDs on it, and they've even got that Tesla, the white Tesla memory, and they're bringing out a Republic of Gamers certified with the red Tesla as well. So that's really interesting. It's pretty much a Tesla coil that runs along the top of your memory.
Yeah, it's quite a visually intense kit of RAM, and certainly it's nice to see a vendor taking a different take on a product that's been around for, well, since the very start of computing. So I think it's time to turn this thing on, Stuart. And now we have the Z170-A ASUS motherboard in with two Strix GTX 980 running water blocks from Bits Power, and there's a Bits Power water block on the CPU as well. And Stuart's really done a phenomenal job at making this piece really stand out. Not only does it have amazing performance, but its visual aesthetics are phenomenal as well. I think that's fair to say. So yeah, can we take that side panel off and see? Because
really see the difference.
The tempered glass is actually quite darkly tinted, and adds to that sort of dark blue, like almost ice blue mystique. Well, when we take it off, you'll see it actually becomes a whole different beast yet again. There we go. Now that this platform is indeed running at 4.5 gigahertz. Now, Stu, this sort of platform, we've got this hooked up to a 4K display. This is the ASUS PA328Q. Actually hear the pouring of LN2. So let's move over here to Jack Hoxton, my fellow teammate of Team Australia Extreme Overclocking. It's a team that I actually co-developed with a friend of mine, Dino, and we launched that back in 2007 at Atomic Live. And to be able to see that we developed a team back in 2007 and it's still going strong, you know, breaking records, pushing the boundaries on a global level, it's something that I feel very proud of. And to see the young blokes like Jack coming through, it's phenomenal. So, Jack, how old were you when you first started playing around with liquid nitrogen?
I was only 17.
You were 17?
I was 17, yeah.
And how old are you now?
22. So you're 22.
22 years old, playing around with a liquid that is minus 196 degrees Celsius, and you've gone and competed globally and flown over to Taiwan on numerous occasions to compete and see where you rank within the world, and frankly, you've done quite well, haven't you? It's phenomenal to see that the Australian enthusiast community still has the new blood coming through. And so what we're going to do here right now, we're currently sitting at, what's the temperature saying? We're using the OC panel here. So we're currently seeing 21 degrees Celsius. That's plus 21 degrees Celsius. I need to clarify that because, guys, we're going to go very low in temperature. I mean very low. Some would say that, you know, minus 20, minus 30 degrees is cold. No. Minus 50 degrees cold. Yeah, it's cold, but not cold enough. Now, dry ice, you're usually dealing with about minus 78 degrees Celsius. But again, liquid nitrogen, we can go further. And on top of that, we have a lot more management over the temperatures. So, say, for example, if we wanted to hold the system around minus 110 degrees Celsius, because, say, for example, there might be a cold bug at minus 115, we can do that. But this platform really likes the cold. And it likes the cold so much that it very much likes to scale with the cold as well. So we're not going to go to minus 110, minus 115, are we, Jack? We're actually going to go a bit further. In fact, we're going to go further than minus 125. We're going to go further than minus 150. We're going to be around minus 160, minus 165 degrees Celsius. And at those frequencies, we start to do some pretty interesting stuff. So we're going to boot in at 5 gigahertz, so where we left things off with the Corsair hydro water cooling solution. And with liquid nitrogen, we're going to push the boundaries a bit. Now, just to give you an update on the temperatures, we are currently at negative 7 degrees and going down very quickly. It's bubbling and bubbling and bubbling away. So liquid nitrogen actually boils at minus 196 degrees Celsius. And so that means the moment it comes in contact with anything in this particular atmosphere, it is going to boil away and thereby transfer its cooling capability. So what we're using here is a large copper pot that we install on top of the CPU, and we use that copper pot to contain the liquid nitrogen and then pull the temperatures down. So right now we're at minus 22 degrees Celsius. And what frequency are we currently at, Joe?
5.1.
We're at 5.1 gigahertz. Okay, so 5.1 gigahertz previously, that would be considered a good stretch. And you'd be going, right, I've done well. I'm very happy with that. But in the liquid nitrogen overclocking world, it's not fast enough. It's nowhere near fast enough. In fact, we like playing around 6 gigahertz, don't we, Joe?
Yes, we do.
So that's where we're going to go to today. We're going to head to 6 gigahertz shortly, but first of all we need to get the temperatures down. So we're now at minus 36 degrees Celsius.
Going to give it a bit of a torch.
Yeah, so right now what we're going to see, we're going to grab a blowtorch out. Now the blowtorch is needed when we have, say for example, what can happen when you're doing liquid nitrogen overclocking is that you can have a system crash at, say, minus 160 degrees. You may have to heat it up again to minus 130 degrees to get it to boot through. So what we use are blowtorches. Do you want to show us what that blowtorch looks like, Jack? Alright, so we're using a MAP gas cylinder and just a blowtorch head. And get that flame cranking for us, buddy.
There we go.
There we go. So this is what we then stick into the pot. So what we do here is bring the pot back up to temperature. What we're doing right now, we actually don't need to bring it up to temperature right now. What we're doing is glazing the pot. So this is a technique to ensure that we get better cold transfer and to ensure that we also have more control over the actual temperature range within that pot. So it means that when we're pouring by hand, we can keep a temperature range like the really good guys can stay within 1 degree of where they want to be. So that's where guys that might find that there's a cold bug, it's, let's just say there's one at minus 140 degrees Celsius, they might sit at minus 139 degrees Celsius, and it comes down to the technique of pouring the liquid nitrogen into the container to ensure that you're able to continue through and finish the benchmark, get the score that you want, get that valuable validation, and move on. If you don't have that particular pouring skill, you may have to stay 5 to 10 degrees Celsius away from that sweet spot. Because the colder you go, the further you can push. So, how cold are we right now? We're at minus 64 degrees Celsius. So, we are still going to be going further. We've actually got about another 100 degrees lower that we need to go. So let's have a quick little chat about hardware here. We've got the Maximus 8 Hero, and we very much chose to use this board to demonstrate that it's not just the Maximus 8 Extreme that can do this sort of stuff. It's actually the ROG range has a thoroughbred bloodline running through the whole range. And we've also got the little GTX 960 Turbo in that system as well, and we're using some Corsair Vengeance LPX RAM. Now on this platform, we're quite spoiled. We're actually able to run some ROG Swift monitors, which is a WQHD display with a 1 millisecond response time, 144 hertz operating frequency, 27-inch form factor, WQHD, and the golden holy grail of G-Sync. So that ensures that you have an amazing gaming experience from the monitor end. And peripheral wise, we're actually using the Strix Tactic Pro keyboard and an ROG Gladius mouse. So a little update on the temperature. We're past minus 100 degrees Celsius now. We're at minus 111 degrees Celsius, and we're still going lower. So, Jack, we said we want to knock on the door of 6 gigahertz. Do you reckon we could get any further than 6 gigahertz?
Well, we certainly hope so. We never say never.
That's right, that's right. We never say never. We always want to keep moving. And yes, Stewie, until it's on fire. But you know what's really quite amazing? You're more likely to blow out the chip before you're going to blow out one of the ASUS motherboards. because the VRM hardware, the componentry chosen is extremely high spec, and that ensures that we're able to do things like running high voltages here. So in this scenario now, I was talking before, for a 24/7 setup, I'd be wanting to run 1.3, 1.35 volts, maximum 1.4 volts. Jack, can you tell me how many volts we're going to be running into this CPU?
We'll be running in the region of 1.8.
1.8 volts, that sounds healthy. That sounds dangerously unhealthy, actually. And you definitely need to be running these sort of frequencies to be doing these sort of voltages. So we're down now to minus 154 degrees Celsius, so we're getting very close to our takeoff point. And then we're going to see a bit of fun happening.
So I'm going to set the voltage now.
Yeah, so Jack's setting the voltage, and soon we're going to start playing around with the multipliers. So we're just going to do a speed run here. So we're just going to keep going until it actually hits blue screen of death. So let's see how far we can take this little baby. So we're just going to be playing around with the base clock and the multiplier. So we're going to take the multiplier up to, what was it, about 75?
Around that region.
75 times multi.
Right.
And we're going to be starting with an 80 megahertz base clock. And then we're going to be stepping through the base clock frequency and exploring just how far we can get this CPU. And this is all from within Windows. So you would have seen that we booted in at about 5.1 gigahertz. And from there, we're going to explore what sort of boundaries we have. So the fact that we're going to be gunning for a 1 gigahertz change from within the operating system, again, highlights the capability not just of the hardware, but of the software interface that we've developed here. So we're just going to reset here, I think, because it looks like
we had a
little lockup. That's all right, because this is part and parcel with LN2 overclocking, is that it's all about trial and error and exploring the boundaries and pushing through, and any boundaries that we might find is actually then finding a workaround to go past them. So what we actually had, Jack and I had, maybe 4 or 5 hours bidding. We had the Core i7 on my platform. We did a quick test on that one. We tested this CPU and one other Core i5. And what we found was that the first Core i5 that we were playing around with topped out around 5.76 gigahertz. And so we thought, okay, this is interesting. Let's see what CPU number 2 can do. So we popped it in, and we initially found a barrier around 5.8 gigahertz range. And we thought to ourselves, okay, this is interesting, but we're sure that this platform can do more. Our OC sensors were telling us, no, keep pushing, keep pushing. And then we found a way to work around it, and that was a combination of both multiplier and base clock. So we're just going to step up again through the frequencies. And we're using here the ASUS Turbo V software, and this is bundled with the ROG motherboards, and then with the Signature Series range, such as the Z170 Deluxe, you'll be looking at the AI Suite 3 software. So let's just get a check on that temp. Okay, well, minus 163 degrees Celsius. That's something. In fact, I want to have that validated by a third party. So, Sean, if I could ask you to come around here, my friend, I would like to just ensure that people don't think that we're trying to fool them or anything. Can you read out that number there?
163.2.
163.2. So certainly validated, and that's using the ROG OC panel. Thank you, Sean. Now you'll see there that once Jack hits apply, he tends to jiggle his mouse around. So that's to ensure that platform hasn't frozen, and then to see, okay, if we get that one to hold, how much further can we go? Now I'd really like to hit that 6 gig barrier, because as I was saying, we were topping out at 5.8 before we figured out how to tweak this further. And this is one of the interesting things about overclocking, right? We literally put this platform under liquid nitrogen locally for the first time yesterday. So we're actually still learning this platform and what it can do when it's sub-zero. So what we wanted to do from here was explore. And where are we at right now?
We're at 5.99.
We're at 5.99, so we're just nudging that 6 gigahertz, but it's like, come on, can we get there?
Of course we can.
Of course we can, says Jack. Now that's a lot of confidence, my friend.
That's 6 gigahertz.
6 gigahertz, everybody, 6 gigahertz. Now this is from a 3.5 gigahertz CPU. Who'd have thought this would be possible? How much farther do you think we can go, my friend?
Well, let's hope for another 100 megahertz.
Another 100 megahertz would be really nice, actually, because at this point in time, goodness, we've already gotten ourselves a free 2.5 gigahertz range of frequency. Still kicking along at minus, what are we now? Minus 66.5 or 66.6? Oh, too many sixes in that one for me. Where are we sitting at, guys? Dominic, can you give me a heads up?
60-46? 60-50.
60-46, exactly. So 60-50. So that's a 6.05 gigahertz frequency, and we're going to push a little bit further.
Oh no, I reckon 6.1.
Yeah, let's hope so.
So Dominic's saying 6.1. Who else wants to put a bet in? What are we going to hit frequency-wise, guys?
6.25.
6.25?
That's very optimistic.
Yeah, quite optimistic.
6.15.
6.15? And anyone else want to play this game? Oh, Jack, what figure do you think that we might get to today?
6.35 maybe?
6.35, that's very ambitious.
If you supply the helium, we'll do it.
That is very ambitious. So,
I've got 6.1 now.
we've got 6.1.
Oh, damn.
Alright, so knocked you out of the game, Dominic. I'm sorry about that, bro. You're gone.
Actually, recommendation would be core voltage, take her up by 0.1.
No, we've actually got to chill out at 1.8 volts is our max on this.
I don't know, I'm looking
She's
quite
looking
good
at
at the moment.
1.84 now.
I'm looking quite good at the moment.
Oh, okay. What are we hitting now, frequency-wise, guys?
611. I'm still in
Okay,
it.
still at 611. So we had Dom was out for 6.1, and we had 6.25 here, and we had a 6.15 over here, and we're up a little further again, 6.12. Going through again, we're just looking for that extra couple megahertz to take, and there we go, 6.14. So, I don't know, that 6.15's looking... 6.18? Okay, so he's changing his bet there. Do the bookies allow? Okay.
You can catch up with sports bet.
Advertising has worked. Now, what are we running now,
We're
Jack?
6.15.
6.15, so the 1.5 is definitely out of the game now, so we've got 6.25 someone was saying?
6.25.
Yeah, and we have an ambitious 6.35 from our own Jack Chang. Let's see how far we can go.
What's the temperature?
Temperature currently is minus 164.9, we just poured in, so it's going to come down a little bit further again. And I think Ben's just realised that his home PC's not fast enough.
I think he's trying to work out his odds, I think. Just shy of 6.2 now.
So 6.2 has been reached, so we've had a bit of an odds run going here. A couple of guys saying 6.1, 6.15, we've gone past that now. We've got a 6.25, 6.35 being bet. What do you reckon, Ben?
6.17.
6.17, that's
He's
quite
out.
conservative.
He's out.
And you're out. You're gone, buddy. That face says it all. It says
6.2.
Should have gone further. Should have had Josh's OC spirit to push those boundaries. Where are we at, Jack?
We're just over 6.2.
Wow, just over 6.2 gigahertz from a 3.5 gigahertz CPU.
Should I actually bet out 6.4 then?
let's find out. As we said, we're just pushing through until we get a blue screen of death. So it'll either blue screen or it'll freeze. And when we're up at this high, typically when it freezes, that's game done. So where are we?
I got 25 hertz left on me.
All right, you got 25 hertz left on your, sorry, megahertz left on your bet. Are you feeling safe with that bet at all, or do you went higher?
Nope.
No, you're feeling safe? Oh, that's confidence. Or is that a lack of confidence in you and I, Jack? What do you think?
Well, we've just got 6250 now.
We've just hit 6250. So, you're either going to be on the money with this one, or you're out. Let's find out. The anticipation, the anticipation. Does it hold? Does it keep scaling?
She's gone.
No.
No, the mouse is still moving. And fast. So, let's have a little looky here with CPU Z. We're now at 6,265 megahertz. My goodness. 6,265 megahertz. That's from a stock 3,500 megahertz CPU. Now, this is where we were talking about the scalability of the Z170 chipset with the Skylake S CPU, now known as the Core 6th generation CPUs. And frankly, these things really have a lot of headroom in them and a lot of capability. And it's been an absolute joy over the last 24 hours playing around with it under liquid nitrogen, as well as it has been a joy for me testing it for the last couple of weeks before it goes live into your enthusiast hands. And frankly, it's something where I believe Intel should be proud of the achievement from the engineering perspective and general manufacturing perspective, and certainly as an ASUS employee, I feel proud that our engineers have been able to take this, run with it, and push it even further. And where are we at now?
6.3.
6.3 gigahertz. So everyone's out of the race except for our own Jack Chang. And now Jack always knows that when I start to play around with liquid nitrogen and whatnot, I always like to push the boundaries, as do my teammates from Team Australia Extreme Overclocking. Do you think there's anything more than 6.3 available here, or 6.35 as Jack reckons?
I think it's going to go into record territory.
You reckon? You have that much faith in us?
6.4.
Definitely interesting.
I commend the faith, but
I commend the faith as well, but I'm not really sure how much further we could possibly go on this one. I mean, we've been scaling up from 5 gigahertz. We came into this platform, we were originally booting in at 5 gigahertz and then scaling up. So already within the operating system, we've moved 1.3 gigahertz just using software. Now, that's previously quite unheard of, and it is a test of what this hardware can do. How fast are we going?
6.33 now.
6.33. Oh my goodness.
I say 6.4.
Yes, you did. So we had a late bet come in for 6.4, and the question is, can we get it? Oh, we're out.
340.
6.340.
That
My goodness. That's I think that's pretty close to being a Jack win there. But having said that, he was in-house. So I think it's a matter of who was saying 6.25.
Mine.
Hey, there we go. So pretty close, but a little pessimistic it seems. You should be a little bit more optimistic in what we might achieve.
You have 5 minutes to beat that. I'm serious. 5 minutes.
More than likely, the bin was higher range anyway.
No. There is no trickery going on here. Quite literally, we got our hands on 5 6600Ks yesterday. And so we then had approximately 5-6 hours to test my Core i7 that I was using over there at 5 gigahertz. And then we had an opportunity to test 2 6600Ks. So it was a little bit of a silicon lottery. Even though we had multiple units on hand, we weren't sure what we were going to get. Previously I mentioned that the first chip that we tested actually maxed out at 5.8. So to then have a chip go through to 6.3 gigahertz, we're gaining an extra 500 megahertz just through binning chips. And this is what it's like when you're at the extreme end of overclocking. Between water and air based results, you're typically going to see a spectrum of about 200 to 300 megahertz. When you start playing around with liquid nitrogen, it starts going even higher. Give you an idea of what they've been doing back at HQ. They've actually been doing 3D Mark benchmarks with a CPU at 6.7 gigahertz. 6.7 gigahertz. I just let that sink in for a moment. So when I heard about that, whew, unbelievable. And while it is going to take some time to find CPUs out there in the wild, retail CPUs, it's quite possible they could push even further. Certainly if the last few generations are anything to go by, the engineering samples are later considered the rubbish CPUs. So it's quite possible we could see a 7 gigahertz 6th-gen core CPU under liquid nitrogen or even a liquid helium. So I think, are you going to try to go even a little bit further, or what are you thinking?
I think we have another shot.
Oh, all right, we're going to have another shot. What are you changing this time around?
We've gone for a touch more voltage.
Yeah, touch more voltage.
Touch more.
And a touch, how much is a touch? We were at 1.8 volts before.
It's only 0.1.
Only 0.1, okay, so we're 1.9 volts now.
We're slightly colder, 2
We're
degrees.
slightly colder by 2 degrees, so we're going to be sitting around the minus 167 degrees Celsius range. And you know what? To be quite honest and frank with all of you, we knew where the last result was going to end. We don't know where this one's going to end. We genuinely don't know. So, could we end up with a 6.4?
No trickery.
Maybe. No, genuinely, I have no idea what to expect here. And so yeah, first time around was a bit of fun and games.
Give me 6.5.
6.5 we're being asked for. That's a huge ask because this is a baby chip that has a stock frequency of 3.5 gigahertz. So you're asking for 3 gigs over stock.
Yeah.
All right.
You said scale, the colder it gets.
That's true. That's true. I did say that. I did say that. So we're 2 degrees colder. We've got an extra 0.1 volts on the V core. And we're soon going to find out just what this platform can do, because this is uncharted territory for this CPU with these ranges for temperatures and voltages.
You know, I mean, essentially it's all the same. Yeah. It would just be interesting to see.
Now, let's talk a little technical for a moment here. What we've got here is a 10-phase VRM around the CPU, and that has 8 phases directed straight to the CPU core. The other phases are for the integrated graphics. And we've also got 2 phases on the RAM. Now what this extra VRM allows, voltage regulation modules, for those of you not in the know. And we've fallen out.
There's no more.
No more there. No more there. Well, you know what, guys? 6.33 gigahertz. I think that's an achievement. So, can I get a round of applause for Jack Coxon, please? Well done, buddy. Oh, get the boo from Stuart. Get some attitude.